Welcome back to The Way with Jazz and Tay. It's your girl Jazz and Shantaé. I
Thank
saw
you,
that.
because my
I
food
saw
is
that.
real dry and it is.
I saw that. I was
I was
like,
like,
let
I
me
can't
just.
chew quick enough.
Before the break, we did our review recap of Insecure, and we actually had a really good conversation. We touched on friend groups and transitioning and what support looks like, and how to gauge making your own decisions when it comes to life transitions and big decisions. So, really good conversation. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into our hot topic, which we covered before when this first came out. But Jussie Smollet, aka Mr. Empire himself, was officially found guilty of staging a hate crime from that incident back in February of 2020.
It was like 2019.
29. That's right. It's been like 2 or 3 years. So for those of you guys who aren't familiar with it, this report came out that he was attacked in Chicago by these like two men who were screaming like MAGA country. He said they had like a noose or something, threatened to like hang him, all this stuff.
Poured bleach on him.
Yeah, pour bleach on him. We were all, shocked, up in arms. We were all ready to go to war for this kid, just to find out that it may or may not have been fabricated. And that the men that quote unquote attacked him, he actually knew. So I honestly he was found guilty on 5 counts of disorderly conduct, one for each separate time he was charged. And then he did lie to the police continuously many, many days. But, apparently disorderly conduct is a class 4 felony, and it does carry a sentence of up to 3 years in prison. Let's be real. There's mental health issues there at play, I feel like. And I don't think, like Shantaé was saying, he's got a clean record, no priors. He probably won't do like 3 years, but definitely probation, community service. And I'm sure there was a fine involved at some point.
So there's actually still a civil suit from like the police department. They want
That's
like $130,000 because
I remember because they were pissed. They were like,
investigation.
Yep. Yeah. They're like, we really invested time and resources.
Yeah, didn't he do community service too already for something?
And I think that's why people thought this was done and over with.
Yeah.
Because he had already done that.
He had been indicted and they dropped the case and he did community service. But then I guess like a higher court wanted to look into it because they were like, we're sorry, this still doesn't seem right to us, which is why it came back up. And I was like, wow, like they just didn't want to let it go.
And that's what I think. I agree with that. I really do agree with that. That they should have I think that this was, not a victimless crime, but victimless in the sense of the only people that it really did put out was the law enforcement officers doing the research and investigating and all that kind of stuff. If you think about it, he didn't actually, I feel like, physically harm someone, or I guess maybe himself. I don't
He's
know,
the only
but
victim.
Right. And when I think about it, the potential of up to 3 years in prison for something like that, I think that's kind of steep. Like for, again, a victimless crime, definitely give me the probation and the community service, but come on.
I definitely think 3 years is a lot. However, I think that they're trying to make an example out of him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I find it interesting that this is the case. We decide to make an example out of someone over like Kyle Rittenhouse. Like we had someone who double murdered, okay? A child who double murdered, get off. And now we have someone who staged a hate crime against themselves and he could be looking up to like concurrent sentences. It's kind of confusing, but I also think that it's a bit of a power play. Like Jussie Smollett was this famous actor. He was probably at the top of his game and he wanted more publicity. I don't know. I don't really understand his reasoning for doing it. Many people say it's for publicity. He wanted to, make sure he was going to get more roles after Empire. And there were drugs involved. There was just a lot involved. And they even said that they think he lied during his testimony. So it just sounds like he's a liar. He's a habitual liar.
Yeah,
and real
possibly.
But I just think that still, it's like, it doesn't, to me, yell criminal. Like, you need to be locked up away from the world. I think it's like, let's look at deeper, like, why?
Yes, I was gonna say, I definitely feel like that would be a more like, let's get Jussie down with a therapist or a psychiatrist to kind of like dig deeper into why did you feel like this was the route that you needed to go to do this, or like that part.
What do
You know, and maybe something, because he said also that he had like a sexual relationship with one of the brothers. And I'm wondering if like, so maybe did something go bad there and then like it got out of hand and it just kind of like snowballed from there, and now you just kind of had to run with this lie or something, you know, like, you know, and you're just too prideful to admit what actually went down kind of thing. Like it just got bigger than it should have been kind of thing.
Liz, with your like mental health background, what is your take on all of it?
So I don't have any background on Jussie, but I think he is coming off like a narcissist because he, you know, like he's still saying, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do, like, it's like, we're showing you the tape. The brothers have given their testimony. Like, we're presenting you with all this to give you an opportunity to say, I screwed up. And like, he's still going on like, oh, I'm completely innocent. I'm not going to jail. And it's like, that level of delusion, I'm just like, you clearly have to be a narcissist. And that's why I think it was for publicity and attention, right? Like Empire, you know, people were starting to fall off, right? Like people loved the first couple of seasons. We were down for Taraji P. Henson as Cookie. And like, was he really like the end all be all? I mean, no one really was tuning in for him.
Right.
And so I think, it was, you know what I mean? Like, I think it was a little bit of like, I want some attention here. And like, I want to blow up and be this big thing. And yeah, it blew up and it was this big thing, just not the way you thought it would be.
He got written off the show. Like,
I didn't even think about that.
They didn't even care. They were just like, bye. And the show kept going.
I remember right after that too, because it makes sense too as to why you want to throw a Tupac song in there, because he was really out here after it happened talking about, I'm like the gay Tupac. Like, what?
Somebody quoted that on Twitter and they were like, I don't think he realizes that Tupac was convicted and went to jail though. And I'm like, I'm just saying, might want to rescind that. But yeah, I just
run that back.
I think it's very interesting. And I agree with you, Liz, because, and I think that that's the reason why I'm like, I mean, if he does 3 years, fine. Because
I think they're definitely giving him 3 years.
I just think it's
a
very,
really?
I think it's a very interesting situation. Like, who just outright lies? Like, and all of everything that you did, you had the country hashtagging pray for Jussie. Like, you just lied.
You had celebrities
and lied.
Didn't Kamala even make a statement on this?
Girl, I don't like everybody.
No, I'm telling you,
everybody Black community was behind it.
Yes. Everybody in the world was like, oh my God, this is such a hate, like, you know, LGBTQ community, they thought it was like a hate crime against a gay Black man. So they're like, oh my gosh, this is what we deal with all the time. And he fabricated the whole thing. And then is sitting there is going to say like, oh, like, you know, like, I still believe my whole lie. And I'm like, he almost got these other 2 men sent to jail, and they were like, "Hold up, I'm not going to jail for this
like,
monkey ass plot." Like,
put me
way.
on the stand, please.
Yeah,
I will tell you any and everything.
I'm ready to tell my truth, and so I just think it's very interesting, and the fact that he's still lying to this day and not really giving us the real tea.
Well, what Liz said about him being a narcissist, or like it's giving very much narcissist, I 100% agree. Yeah. You know, the behavior is very similar to like my my biological father, and he is very much, I'm never wrong. I stand by what I said, even after it's been very proven and obvious that no, you're wrong and this is not okay. Like, just say I'm sorry. Agree. If Jussie went up there and I think, you know, admitted and repented and apologized for all of it, I think they probably would go more lenient on the sentencing.
Like, absolutely. If he had just pled guilty,
if
said I lied and let it be that. Like, was there ever a plea deal so that he cannot have to go through a like
I want to say
case?
I want to say that there was. I could be wrong, but I feel like they gave him a chance to like own up. And like he never took it, and they were even saying about like the jury was like, this dude is lying. And there was this comment about like, you're an actor, so they're looking for like
Right.
but even with that, he did not present well.
And I think it's interesting too because he sat up there and lied during his testimony. But it's like, okay, so you wasted all this police time. Now you're wasting even more time, like the jury's time, the judge's time, your lawyer. Like, come on. It's a lot. I think it's just like give it up. And I think it's really unfortunate. I would be interested to know if he ever gets a job in Hollywood again.
See, and that's the part is like, his sister, I feel bad because all of that happened. And then Miss Journey came out and killed it in Lovecraft Country and all this, whatever. And then you got Jussie over here who's like, he'll probably
Can't even
never be
jury.
he'll probably never be able to recover from this, and if he does, it's definitely gonna be some time. He needs to continue to lay low, have like a comeback story kind of thing, and
A documentary.
right.
Somebody said
What
Tyler
happened
Perry,
to Jussie?
Somebody said Tyler Perry will bring him back.
I
Oh my God, I'm
cannot.
dead. You right though.
Right.
You right.
Where is the lie? So we are just about done with our episode. That was a really great conversation. Listeners, if you're out there, you have opinions on the situation, we would love to know what you think. Was it the way,
Yeah.
not the way? Do you agree with the guilty verdict? And do you think he'll actually serve any time?